Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. If you're new to the podcast, CE Pro Senior Editor Bob Archer has enlisted Murideo's Jason Dustal, ISF founder Joel Silver, and Value Electronics Robert Zohn in the past episode to lend their video expertise. And as 2021 is coming to a close, he gathered them again to talk about this year's biggest video trend. But not only that, as a treat in this week's episode, the trio provide us with their favorite products and demo content picks for 2021. As always, be sure to subscribe to CE Pro's YouTube channel and hit that like button on our videos, or subscribe to the CE Pro podcast on Apple and Spotify and leave a review.
Hi, I'm Bob Archer, Senior Editor with CE Pro Magazine, and today we have our video expert panel with us, and we are going to talk about best products of the year, and we're going to also hit them up for their favorite current pieces of home theater demo content. We have Jason Dustal from Murideo, we have Robert Zohn from Value Electronics, and we have Joel Silver from the Imaging Science Foundation. How are you guys doing today?
We're happy guys in the middle of all this zombie apocalypse and everything, so we're surviving.
Hey, things are good. I can't complain. It's winter in Florida. It's beautiful out. We get to hang out with these fun people for 30 minutes, so I'm as happy as a clam.
All right. I think first let's start with some opening statements, guys. How do you think the year is rounding out in terms of home video in 2021? And Jason, we'll start with you since you're on my screen.
Crazy. I mean, crazy in a good way. I mean, especially with what's going on in the last, 18 months or so, especially at the beginning, we had no idea how things were going to go, and they have gone very well. We've seen some crazy good products I think we'll talk about here in a little bit. Our customers, the installers of the world out there who are putting in big systems, are super busy. So I think the year turned out a lot better than expected. And I'm really excited to talk about some of our favorite products.
All right, Robert, if you could go next.
Thank you. You bet. It's been a banner year for us as well. In our industry, sales have spiked and have continued to be strong and steady. People are staying home more now. They're not spending money on other items, so they're upgrading entertainment in their homes. And it especially appeals to enthusiasts who always have an itch to upgrade products. This is also the biggest upgrade year we've seen in technology advancements in both audio and video. So we're seeing larger screens, we're seeing brighter OLED TVs, we're seeing new, very powerful video processing. So this is the biggest upgrade year I've seen since we've had OLED or plasmas come out. This is a big upgrade year. So with the products better, the content better, streaming being better, people spending more time in their homes entertaining themselves, it's been a very big year for TV and audio sales.
Okay, thank you. Joel, if you could close things out.
Well, I think the story of the year has got to be content. We've done 10 years worth of progress in 18 months. I've been involved in 3 previous ventures launching first-run movies to the home. All 3 were catastrophic failures because of logistics, licensing, film wholesalers, and everything impeding the course of getting first-run movies into the home. And here it is under COVID, it just landed in our laps. So first-run movies to the home is spectacular. Rentals at $20 for the home. I mean, I can rent a whole movie theater here for $150, but I still have to drag myself to a movie theater. And under the content of the home, a couple of things are sparkling. The percent of content now that is HDR is phenomenal. It just erupted onto the scene. And I can thank the Netflixes, the Amazons, the Disney Pluses, the Apple TVs. It's no longer a rarity to see new content in HDR and whatever version it is, with Dolby Vision or HDR10. It's all good. It's all spectacular. And what I didn't expect to have happen is the audio mixes. Just for example, Dune. I can't say the video on Dune was spectacular, but it is what it is. And I know where it was shot. It was shot in Wadi Rum in Jordan, which is an amazing, unworldly place. I'm going back there next November. But it was one of those movies where you're looking at it and listening to it and saying, someone cared. Someone really wanted it. And when I read behind the scenes, Mr. Hans Zimmer, who's one of the geniuses of our time, he was a fan of the books. And one of the quotes we saw from him, he goes, I would have done this for free. These are my books. I live with those books. But the audio track on that, the Atmos coming into the home. So as Robert was talking about, between the incursions of the technology on the consumer side, which is meaningless without the plethora of content with HDR and Atmos. But the mixes we used to get with second generation, wish for maybe okay, because the mix was for the theater. And some people cared about the mix for the home, but we're mixing for the home because that's where people are watching it. And some of the Atmos tracks on these streaming things is just delightful. It's entertaining. It's fun. And even some of the simpler things, we just watched the Music Hall of Fame show on HBO Max. And that was wonderful. We got to look at Tony Bennett with Lady Gaga. And, there wasn't a dry eye in my house. I don't know about the rest of it, but a 95th birthday with a guy belting out some tunes with Alzheimer's and the rest. I mean, if that doesn't touch your heart, you're stoned. And the home presentation of it was wonderful. So the year is about not just us watching, but what there is to watch. So these are the best of times and the worst of times, to quote one of our older writers. The variant running around now is unknown, but it's predictable. Viruses tend to survive, and the way they survive is to create variants to make sure they're still around, even though we're trying to stomp them out. The worry for my personal life is that my travel schedule may never be the same. Trade shows, of which I adore, going to see new toys all over the world, they may never be the same. But the products hitting us are wonderful. The content hitting us is wonderful. My clients, and Robert, you've got to say the same thing. My clients are just delighted. They're very excited. Their kids are bouncing up and down over the amount of content for kids. We're enjoying the audio and the video, because it's one thing when you buy a new toy and you look for content that I've done for years. You get a Blu-ray system, you put it together fine, and then you beg, borrow, and steal and try and look for a new Blu-ray, and it doesn't happen enough. And, so we were watching our favorite movies again and again, and I've never been in a situation that I am now where I've got so much content recommended to me by credible sources, people whose systems I know are good, but I want to watch. I've got more content lined up to watch than I have time to watch it. And it's not like I'm hunting for a new movie. There's tons of programs that, some of them are multiple episodes. I'm not even close to catching up. So it's entertainment overload, picking the best of the best. But this is a good time to be home. It's safe. Kids are home safe. Now that at least my circle of friends, we're all triple vaccinated at least, and we're being pretty careful. And we're joining each other in homes, and my home gets joined more often than not because my system is a little decent compared to most of my friends, and they've never heard or seen anything quite like it. So I've got 3 friends right now changing their homes after getting used to watching movies here. And one of their wives just said, and she's a music nut, not an audiophile. She was saying, "Damn, our system's crap. This sounds great." This is number one wife saying, "Gary, you got to do something. This is really, really good." So his system goes in on the 20th. And, Robert, you've seen this, it's contagious. Customers invite customers over. Next thing you get 5 phone calls. I just saw such and such as theater, and mine's terrible. And since they're home watching it and the content's there, it's wonderful. Now, if we can only get people to wire it correctly, get the installers to actually get up to speed in HDMI 2.1, which is the unsung story of the day. We finally got ourselves together technically, and now we actually have the tools to make it work, and guys haven't bought the tools. And the document called CEB 28, we talked about that before. It's on the street. It's out there. It's not being read anywhere near enough. And that's one of these things, if you're running around hooking up systems for people, if you don't have that in your pocket, you're wrong. If you don't have the tools to make it look right and sound right, you're wrong. And we need to concentrate more on education in this system, which is difficult in times without trade shows, but it's available. It's online. You can make it work. And the document is pretty well put together. Jason and I spent 2.5 years of our life on that. With Jason, would you say it's the brightest team we've ever worked with?
Yes, absolutely. Especially for me being the young guy, just getting to hang out with these folks and to meet them in person instead, virtually in person. It's just been awesome for me. I love it.
We can embarrass him by saying he's the CTA's youngest ever committee chair.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
You guys.
You put the work in, you wrote a lot of stuff. And he took his experience at Murideo doing tech support for people. And this wasn't just Murideo, this was Crestron, this was HDMI.org. We got the top 10 from everyone, headaches that make phone calls happen to demand tech support. And we made them case studies in this document. and they're getting better if it's 2.1. We talked about this before. You want your whole system 2.1. There's no reason not
At
to
this
upgrade
point.
the audio, because at this point, if you really want immersive sound, there's no question. It's not like it's one of these things you might see every now and then. It's every new streaming thing is immersive. You want HDR because every new content that's worth your watching is going to be HDR. So time to upgrade the audio and the video, and that means the switches, the cables, the wires, everything in between, the distribution. And after dreading every new HDMI system ever coming out, because I'm saying, okay, here's a new HDMI system, get ready to revisit all the homes 10 times. This one's actually the answer. This one makes things work. It's not the one that should scare you. All the other ones have scared us. This one actually is aimed at fixing things. So product of the year, for me, HDMI 2.1. Not from anybody in particular, but that's the product of the year. It works.
And just to make sure everybody knows, HDMI 2.1 is not just about the 48 gigabits per second bandwidth. It's got eARC, it's got consumer electronics control. There's so many features built into it. When it's configured and set up properly in every device with all the correct interconnections, you have a stable, honest, good system that'll perform the way you expect it to, without headaches. And
How
without
about something simple, like we've been promised auto lip sync?
That's right.
Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
that great?
right.
Which was auto non-lip sync. It's been driving me crazy in some expensive
you.
systems for a long time. And
Yeah.
you know, we've been coming up with $6,000 and $7,000 and $8,000 solutions to make it work. And this one, it's kind of plug and play as opposed to plug and pray. If it's 2.1 auto lip sync, damn it works.
Yeah.
You know, and Rob, you're as surprised as everyone else, correct?
Yes.
We've been promised it.
beautifully.
It's a problem that we used to deal with. It's just gone.
Yeah.
It didn't get better. It just went away.
That's right. Thank you.
When I'm looking at a $20,000 video processor and I can't fix lip sync with the video or the audio product, I got to insert another product in so the customer can say, doesn't that sound look weird? It doesn't line up with the voice. You know, and it's a legit complaint that people don't have to be mysterious or hobbyists to look at. They look at it and go, something's wrong. You know, the lips move and then something happens later. What's going on?
That's right.
So that you know, that's, I don't know. That knocked me out because I was expecting another year of headaches, or 2 or 3 of headaches, and headaches are starting to go away.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, you alluded to this, and I want to pin you down this time. I want to talk about favorite products of the year. Before we started the record, you had mentioned a product that you're very keen on right now. Could you tell us about that product?
Well, I'm keen on it and not keen on it. I am not keen on it because I don't have it. I don't own it. But the next generation laser projectors is using red and blue lasers. Eventually, we'll all go RGB lasers like some of the ultra short throw products, which are not quite as powerful. But I've been setting up some systems with the new Sony 380, which is multi-laser. And what really knocks you out is not the light output. I mean, it's a lot of light, but there are a lot of projectors out there with a lot of light. Dynamic range, but you know, there's dynamic range too, but the reds and anything resembling flesh tones, magentas, sunsets, and reds are so much of so many of our scenes. There's, you know, a lot of things mixed with red to make colors. The color saturation jumping off the screen, which in our world of video evaluation, which we've been doing our whole lives, yes, contrast ratio and dynamic range is undeniably the most important thing ever. But the second most important thing is color saturation. And I'm seeing saturation off projectors with these systems I've not seen before. And you know, we need to progress to a full RGB laser eventually. That's going to be difficult. Green's a bear. And getting it small enough to put in the room with the client, as opposed to the 3 laser DLPs, of which I've set up a number. They're fabulous products, but it needs its own room behind the room. It needs 220. It needs its own air conditioning. It needs to be noise isolated. So it's for not just the rarefied 2 or 3%, it's for the 1/4 of 1% who can give me a room behind the room for an AV room, which we'd all like, but that doesn't happen in most homes that have a projection booth. And if you have such a thing, it's a wonderful thing because all the gear goes back there. Your wiring is all available. It's all walk-in, but that's not the average home. So the 3 laser 6P things, where we've got 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 blues, is the solution you want, if price is no object. And we've got a few of those going in. I'm involved in tweaking and designing some of those. They're fun, but it's a very rarefied atmosphere. It goes with the jet plane and the 100-meter yacht and all the rest of those things. So it's a common occurrence in that circle of people. It's not a common occurrence in my house. But looking at these, and there's one downside for them we should talk about, and you've got safety and insurance things. You're looking at basically almost weapons-grade laser. So in a movie theater where you've got a projection booth, or home with a projection booth, if you build your system where the sight line between the lens and the screen is over people's heads, it's not an issue. But some of the ultra short throw projectors are already problems, and we've got to build into those, which we're already doing, motion sensors. So the kid crawls in there, looks down things, crawls around. You want that thing shut down. So motion sensors are going to be part of it, but system design, you're going to have to use your head with these things. These are not things you want people. And there was a original joke. Sony came up with a product eons ago called the GLV, a grating laser valve. And the joke was, do not look down laser with remaining good eye. And, we thought it was funny until we started seeing the hospital cases here with the cruise ships, which are coming to Florida with people who've been blinded by the laser light shows, because they've got people putting them in who aren't licensed and not trained on these things. But now I'm talking about lasers in the home. So that is a factor you've got to pay attention to, especially with little kids. You want that thing high. You want it out of the light path. You want people out of the light path, the seating and that. But it's one of these technologies that's going to be seen and desired. And there's one manufacturer doing an ultra short throw with 3 lasers right now. So we know it can be done in a form factor and affordability that's not out of the question. So we're heading in that direction. But seeing it, playing with it, calibrating it is painful because I don't own it.
I worked on one, Joel, or just one already, but I just have to piggyback on what you're saying about the red. And I really wish I could remember the name of this disc, but the customer, he was an older guy, and he just liked to sit in that room and just watch Blu-ray concerts and watch football and the news and just kind of basic stuff, really. But we popped in a disc of a concert that he's seen a million times and he loves. And it was sort of an opera type or maybe a musical, but there were a bunch of characters on the screen that were all wearing the same red, like almost robe. And I took a picture of it with my phone. And of course that doesn't do justice, but you're exactly right. The red's coming off that screen. I was like, wait a second, this isn't right. This is too good. And it was a 15-foot wide screen. It was no joke.
One of the movies I jumped to in the last system I calibrated, and I jumped to it for audio. It's The Greatest Showman.
Oh yeah.
Which has the opening track with people stomping on the bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the audio had been tuned the day I got there, just before I was arriving. So I wanted to see if it was tuned to at least my liking. And the audio was dialed in. Same guy did my house, did that one. So I was not surprised. But the red on Hugh Jackman's shirt.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's just what you want.
Yeah.
It just looks so right. And it tells you that when you see something that just looks so right, you realize what you've been looking at has been muted. You've
totally.
been robbed. You've been robbed. And we took Jason to his first Dolby Vision theatrical event in a Dolby Vision theater.
Oh yeah.
And we watched the Black Panther. And on the purple scene where the dreams are there and the sky is purple, I thought he was going to permanently dent the armrest by gripping the chairs.
That, and I kept going.
You went, look at that. We're in a movie theater. Look at that. And it's a look at that moment.
It's hard not to.
You're seeing something that just looks so right. It's like watching a broadcast reference monitor, professional monitor. And we've all spent time in front of those things, especially the original one that knocked my socks off was the Sony X300, their OLED, which they moved on to. But that was the first one I saw where I just sat down and I just had nothing to say. It just looks so right. Of course, it's 30 inches and it's $43,000. So I'm missing on 2 counts. I want it to be a little less money and a whole lot bigger, but you see yourself in a colorist position, which is, nose on the screen. You're looking at content, and you're saying, okay, now I know what it's supposed to look like. I thought I knew this content, but now I know.
That's right.
And that's the mastering environment. And that's been our theme song for the life of a business experience. I want the colorist view in my client's home and in my home.
That's right.
And, seeing that coming off the screen with a laser, yeah, it's an interesting product. And I'm hoping it comes down. I'm hoping it can run on 110 rather than 220. In fact, that particular projector you can run on 110 if you've got too small a room. Cut the power down, and now it's going to work well because projectors, even with the laser manipulation, there's a limited amount of dynamic range between white and black. So you put too much projector into a system and you can't get any blacks out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and laser modulation, it's similar to what we tried to do with, lens apertures and moving irises, which never worked. And when they did work, you saw it working, or you heard it working. When the scene went dark, then it went darker. It drove me nuts. The only position that really worked on those was the off switch.
Mm-hmm.
But the laser modulation is faster than my eye. It works. And I've got at least 3 manufacturers who I can compliment by saying, okay, I can increase the dynamic range of a projector over what a lamp did because I can modulate the laser. And it was actually a friend from one of the manufacturers in Canada who showed me a system, and we were going to do a session. It had just arrived, and I said, "That's on. Why is that on?" He goes, "Because it works." I go, "No." He goes, "Yeah, let's turn it off." And putting the laser modulation switch in, it was invisible. It worked just fine. The only time you get caught on those things, and there is a problem with it, if you're watching something with the laser modulation on and off, and you're watching titles at the end of a movie, and the titles are very small, they're too dark, you can't read it, it crushes it, because it triggers the increased black. So if the titles are small, they're gone. You just can't see it. So it's not a perfect system, but it gets more contrast out of a given projector that we were never able to do with a lamp. So sorry for a long answer, Robert, but it's been one of those products, and all 3 of us have seen it. All 3 of us have played with it, and I think I could speak for the 3 of us that you guys want a deer house too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert's already buying one. I know he's
Yeah.
angling his way into one, and I'm sure you're going to get a showroom deal, and that'll knock your socks off.
Yes.
It's your showroom. Jason and I are going to have to figure out a different way of doing it, but
Yeah.
it's on the wish list, even though it's a little expensive. I mean, it's not quite the price of a 911, but it's 90% of the price of a 911. But then again, I'll use the projector more than I will a 911.
That's right.
Okay, Robert, can you give us your product of the year?
Well, I would say it's probably, and I hate to reference a brand in particular, but it would really have to be Sony's A90J Master Series, particularly in the 83-inch class. New proprietary heatsink that cools the panel so they can drive it harder and give you almost 20% higher peak lumens, gives you a much bigger dynamic tonal range. That larger dynamic tonal range gives you more detail and depth in the image. It almost looks naturally 3D. You've never seen an OLED deliver pure black and high peak lumens with every detail of color volume, color accuracy, full dynamic tonal range. It really is exceptional to see pure black with that type of peak lumens capability and color fidelity on that screen size. So I would say for me, it's an 83-inch A90J, and I do have one in my house. And I think I may have told this on our last little story, but when we watch a comedy romance in our home, my wife sits real close to me, puts her arm around me. It makes you feel the romance that's on the screen. You feel romantic because the creator's intent comes right through the screen and gives you that feeling that they intended you to have. So for me, I would say it's an 83-inch A90J.
Okay, and Jason, what is your product of the year?
I really wish that I had a kind of a bang for your buck thing this year. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, but I really had to knock it down to 2. The first one is the 8K LG OLED that we saw at the shootout in New York.
Yeah.
And, it was, of course it's an awesome TV, but when we actually put native 8K HDR content on it from our friend Phil Holland, I could not, it was just unbelievable. I'm literally this close to the screen and barely able to see any noise. It was just really incredible. My probably the one that I would give the number 1 spot to would be the new MadVR Envy video processor. I finally had a chance to get my hands on one and to go through it. And not only is it just a really, really sweet piece, it's extremely powerful. It does great tone mapping and those types of things. But what I really was blown away by was they have auto aspect ratio switching, and it's literally absolutely instant. So like if you're watching a Christopher Nolan movie and it's switching aspect ratios, it switches when it's supposed to switch. You literally can't see it switching. It's really, really an unbelievable piece. And they also have, if you have like a scope screen and you want to watch 16:9, you can stretch the 16:9 image out to 235 or 240. And the way it stretches, you really can't tell it's stretched. It's a very, very easy to use, easy to set up, and very powerful processor. That's going to be my number one for 2021.
Okay. Now that we've discussed your products of the year, I'd like to hit you guys up and get a piece of demo content you would watch on these products. Robert, could we start with you? What is your current favorite piece of demo content that you recommend to CE Pro readers right now?
Sure. So when we display in our showroom here demo content to clients, we pick content that they know and like, so they're familiar with the content. But when we're just displaying content and we don't have a request for a specific content, the manufacturers have dealer demo content that's exceptional. Now, we don't want to show it in the store mode, which is that pumped up vivid mode. So we copy all their content onto USB stick, and then we play it back in a proper calibrated mode. So you see all the detail in the image and you don't see it blown out. The very best video content for a store is LG. They have the best content, the most amount and the best dynamic range and the best looking content. Of all demo content, I give it to LG. So we copy that onto a USB stick, we play it back across our showroom properly as it's supposed to be seen, and it is gorgeous. Other than that, I like Kaleidoscape because they have lossless uncompressed. So they have a better version of the same Hollywood movie that you would buy on a Blu-ray disc or stream with less compression, less artifacts, although as Joel has said, streaming has been upgraded quite a bit. So they've done a good job there. But Kaleidoscope has the cleanest looking material, and LG demo content is gorgeous, stunning gorgeous.
Okay, thank you. And Jason, if we can get your current favorite piece of demo content.
Now. This is always a tough question for me because it's almost asking like, what's your favorite band? There's just so much good stuff out there. In fact, I keep notes on my phone when I watch a new movie, like what scenes I like and timestamp them and everything. So I really nerd out with this stuff. But if we're talking about like, I sort of have a guilty pleasure of some dating shows, things like that. There's a show on Netflix right now called Sexy Beast. It's a dating show where they're wearing this real elaborate Hollywood makeup and they're made to look like animals and things. And it's really funny and cheeky and stuff. But the way it's shot, it just looks, I mean, there's outside scenes where things look natural, grass, trees, plants, stuff like that. But the overall color, the overall dynamic range, the clean look of it, it's really, really good demo content. And it's kind of a fun show. There's a million different things out there right now. There's a streaming show called Animals on Netflix. There's an octopus episode where there's a lot of it's underwater and very colorful, coral reefs, things like that. That's a really good one to check out. But there is something I just found yesterday or the day before, and I could not believe it. There is a clip of Scarface on YouTube right now in HDR. It's Scarface, so it's not something you want to play with the kids around. But the scene I'm talking about specifically, Tony Montana's red Hawaiian shirt that he's wearing just absolutely pops off the screen. And I couldn't believe I was looking at this streaming. I couldn't believe the age of the movie was looking that good. If you want to go on YouTube and find it, just probably type in Scarface HDR, probably pop right up. But just blown away by how good some of the stuff looks now, even on YouTube.
Okay, and closing things out, Joel, could you give us your current favorite piece of demo content?
Two. One is just a disc you can buy anywhere. But the other one is a joint venture between our friends at Sony and our buddies at Kaleidoscape. And it's a demo pack that's available to all the owners of the system. And it's both by Sony and by Kaleidoscape. It's a number of movies I would have picked to begin with. So it's a great little assortment. And it's their demo pack for their clients. It's a gift. That works out fine. But if you don't happen to have that, it's an expensive piece. Most people don't. But the piece I've been playing most for a lot of people, and part of it's because I upgraded my system to Atmos. I'm having fun with that. But Hans Zimmer, live in Prague.
Oh, great disc.
The sections from the Pirates of the Caribbean. The treat of it is watching Hans Zimmer put it all together. The expression on his face, but the low frequencies on that. If you're not totally impressed, you need to bring in an acoustician and probably another 3 or 4 subwoofers. It's one of these places where if you don't have multiple subs, you're not going to understand it. But the low frequencies there are tight, well controlled, demo worthy, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
But it's one of those joyous tracks you're looking at, and it ends with a crescendo, and you're sitting there saying, "No, don't end." It's a fabulous demo piece, and it's a joyous occasion. And of course, the particular concert hall in Prague, I know, I've been there. It's spectacular. But this is a room-filling, orchestrated film score that's just unbelievable. It's the best $30 I've spent in a very long time on a disc that I'm trying to wear out. But fortunately, it's not mechanical, so I'm going to get some life out of it. But I do have a backup one. So that's clickable, Hans Zimmer, live in Prague, Pirates of the Caribbean track. There are others on it, but that's the go-to tracks. The last 3 episodes of that I use regularly. And if you want to know if a system's tuned well, is the video spectacular? Video is adequate to the task. The audio is spectacular, but it's a dark cinema scene of a concert hall. So you're not going to get sparkling planet Earth type video, but it's more than up to the task, and it's a joyous disc. So it's fun. And that's been the word of the year. The word of the year for us has been fun. We're having a lot of fun out here in the field. The installs are great. Business climate's fun. Customers are having a good time, and it shows on the bottom line for most of my dealers. If we could get enough product, we'd have even a better year.
Joel, and real quick, I'm sorry guys. I want to point out one thing, because it's very, very good about that disc, and you don't see it a lot on especially concert discs. Normally in a concert environment, you've got a black room that you're in, and there's stage lighting, and a lot of that's really hard to manage as far as like the camera is concerned. So you end up seeing a lot of noise in the dark parts of the image when you look at a Blu-ray concert normally. But they've really cleaned up that Hans Zimmer disc, and it even just trying to look for noise in the dark parts, it's tough. It's almost like it's not there. There's a little bit, but for a concert, it's very impressive with how little noise is there.
Well, thank you, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
he's the master of the game, and he surrounds himself obviously with some good camera people.
Yep.
And yes, capturing in a concert hall is for Olympic quality camera teams. So that's an AV acquisition that is admirable. I tip my hat to that team.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with me today. Also, I want to thank you for taking time to speak with me several times throughout the year, and I look forward to having you on several times next year. We'll reconvene in roughly 6 to 8 weeks, and we'll get the latest news from you in the world of home video, and we'll hit you up again for your latest video picks for demo products, or demo scenes rather.
Can I give you a preview of current events?
Yes.
The team that Jason and I were just thrilled to be associated with, they did the CEB28, the HDMI spec. They've all volunteered. We kicked off the home video recommended practice last week, and we're going to be doing 1 call a week, now call every 2 weeks. It's the same talented team with a few more additions from time to time. And this was originally something I chaired on home theater video. It's no longer home theater video. It's video from outdoor display. And what we're talking about is, entertainment spaces. It's every entertainment space my clients want. And I do have one guy who's a major company owner who's got a system that he watches at night from his swimming pool. It's on the side of the house. And he and the kids are in the pool watching a video, having a good old time. So that's an entertainment space, not the average one, but there are a lot of people doing outdoor systems. So we're also going to have 4 performance categories. This is going to take us a while. State of the art's going to be easy. Entry level is going to be easy, but the CEB22, the audio spec, is almost done. That also is kicking off with 4 recommended audio performance levels. So we're going to be realistic and say, okay, for the budget, you want at least this. For no budget, you want that. The ones in between, I've got the brightest people I know in this business helping me put this together. Jason's going to help co-chair, but we've got a talented team, and we're going to come up with video. And of course, part of it's going to be now the spectacular video walls that are now hitting our system. And the one conversation we had with some people from Sony Pictures a while ago, they pinned us down in New York City. They wanted to talk about screen sizes and the future of home video. I said, you're asking the wrong question. No, we want to know what people are going to have for screen sizes. I said, you're asking the wrong question. The question is room size, because we're going to fill the wall.
How big's your wall? Yeah.
How big's your wall? Because that's what the screen's going to be. And in the corner is going to be a baby cam if you got a little kid. If your email is going to pop up, your phone's going to pop up, but we're going to fill the wall. And we're going to do it with, multiple 1,000-nit systems with good blacks with minimum P3 color for now 2020. And it's going to get affordable one day. The price of the best one on the market just dropped in half. And the best one on the market you can now work on from the front. You don't have to have a crawl space in the back. So we're already seeing it, and I've got a number of clients jumping into it because they couldn't get the performance they wanted out of a projector because their rooms are not that good, and they're not going to redo the room.
Mm-hmm.
And for the price of a modest exotic car, you can put in actually the specification is 15.98 feet wide to do 4K native. That's a reasonably big screen. I've got the wall for it. I just don't happen to have the cash for it. But Robert, you're going to see some of those going into your clients' homes. And 1,000 nit system with P3 in good blocks, 16 feet wide. It's a good start.
Yeah.
So that's going to be part of the recommended practice for the top category. What I'm not going to get involved in, because I'm just not smart enough for this, is how do you make the audio work in that? I don't know that yet. Because you're not putting the speakers behind the flat panel. They're not going to sound very good behind there. But we've got smart people on it that are going to cover that end, and I can't wait to see what they come up with. But that's CEB 23. It's going to be the follow-up to CEB 28. And we'll give you blow by blow as we're talking, because the committee we've got is not only talented, but Jason, on the last call, was some of them volatile?
Yeah, it's, when you get that many smart people in the room, we end up sometimes like nitpicking over whether these two words should go together or not. But I actually like that because at the end of the day, with that many people giving their input, is a slam dunk. It's a super tight thing. So yeah, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of volunteer hours, but it's going to be an awesome document when it's all said and done. I'm excited for it.
And it'll be ANSI certified, so that wording is not casual. The wording is important.
Exactly.
And it's got to be clear to the integrators. And to be completely clear, the goal of the system is not for the 3% of the guys who really know it in and out.
Mm-hmm.
This is a recommended practice for the 97% who don't do $1 million systems.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the best bang for the buck. So this is going to be a recommended practice from CTA and CEDIA for everybody doing video in a house or entertainment space, might be outside the house. But, Robert, there's a preview of what's going to take us a while, but we're going every Tuesday. And we've got people from all over the world jumping in the calls. We had UK, we had India on the call. We're going to continue to, because these guys are talented, and I'm thrilled to be associated with them again.
That sounds great. I look forward to the update. We will reconvene in about 6 to 8 weeks. I want to thank you again for taking part in today's call, and I want to wish you all happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great holidays, guys. See
you guys next time.
Thank you.